Oh, what did we just watch? Fresh out the movie theaters. I'm going to tell you right now, spoilers everywhere in this video. Please, please don't watch this video if you guys have not seen the newest Spider-Man. I never do this. I don't do this. I don't make videos like this. I'm not a movie reviewer. I'm not a critic. I'm just a fan. But I got to talk about this freaking movie really quick. Spider-Man, what was it? No Way Home.
Yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home.
No Way Home. What was the other ones? Prom Night.
What?
And Spider-Man.
Far From Home and
Far-
Spider-Man Homecoming.
Homecoming. That's the one. No,
Not
Prom Night. Sorry. Homecoming and Far From Home and then No Way Home. Let me just start off by saying that what the hell has Disney done? What did they do?
They done it.
They did it. They did everything that you wanted them to do and more. I couldn't believe my eyes. My brain is expanding because this hat it cannot be contained. I cannot believe what I just watched. Straight out the bat, okay? They brought in everybody.
Doc Ock.
Everybody.
Doc Ock was like the first.
Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Jamie Foxx, you got Lizard Man, you got everybody coming back in this freaking movie. I'm just like, I'll just start off by saying that I absolutely loved it. As you can already tell, I loved it, every single bit of it. And Spider-Man is like your favorite.
Yeah, Spider-Man's my favorite.
That's your boy. That's like a lot of people's favorite superhero. Isn't he like one of the most popular, most selling, like highest selling superheroes? Like just but comic book wise.
Yeah.
It's like up there with like Superman and like Batman.
I think so. Yeah.
With like some of the most highest selling, most popular comic books of all time. Yeah, it's like exactly that too. Oldest, most popular, most famous, most highest grossing, whatever you want to say about Spider-Man, literally that's it. I am still in shock. I'm still registering it, and I think I'll still be registering it for the entirety of this week and the weekend. I might even go see it a second time.
I'll go watch it again.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna see it a second time. Everything was so beautiful, except for a couple things that we'll probably get into. But I want to attempt to try and basically just go throughout the entirety of the movie.
Yeah.
And maybe you can fact check me. And I can fact check me, and I'll fact check you.
Okay.
You know, and see if we can actually recreate something and try to go through it story by story, scenario by scenario, and kind of give our commentary over it. Because there's some things that I liked and some things that I didn't like. Well, first and foremost, we finally get the conclusion of, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. From the previous movie. The previous movie ended off with the big bombshell. J. Jonah Jameson is J.K. Simmons, I think, is his name. Probably like the actual the IRL version of J. Jonah Jameson, which is J.K. Simmons. And he was there, and then they dropped the big bombshell. Hey, Spider-Man is Peter Parker. What's going to happen? Well, essentially, just he's Peter Parker. He's Peter Parker. Spider-Man is Peter Parker. So he goes throughout living high school, throughout living life with him or the world knowing that he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So he's got to live with that. He's dealing with the consequences, and everybody's questioning him. Everyone's taking sides. Oh, Mysterio's right. Oh, Spider-Man's right. Which that really didn't go anywhere. How did it? Just the whole Mysterio thing. It's just like a thing.
Yeah, it's just kind of
like a device to push the plot forward.
Yeah, it was like a way to,
Yeah, it was like, oh, Mysterio's right or something like. I'm like, okay, that really didn't go anywhere now, did it? It's like it's basically just like a bad stench. You know, like when you fart in a room. Like, all right, the fart's gone, but now you have to deal with the stench. And that's kind of like what Mysterio did. It's like, all right, he dropped that little nugget of wisdom, and now everybody's like on his case, you know? So Spider-Man's got to deal with the stench. Anyways, so then we get to see, Peter Parker come up with a brilliant idea. Hey, why not? What if I contact Tony Stark 2.0? aka Doctor
Doctor
Strange.
Strange.
All right, my godfather, because Tony Stark was my daddy, and now Doctor Strange is my new daddy because
He's the father.
he's the father. Yes, Tony Stark was my daddy. Doctor Strange is my father now, and that's all I got because Tony Stark's gone. So, anyways, he comes up with the brilliant idea. Hey, why? He's a wizard. Maybe he can wizard up some stuff where they didn't know.
Okay, how old is Peter Parker in this movie? He's 18.
He's like
He's
17.
17 or 18.
I'm pretty sure he might be
He's
17.
a senior in high school.
So like it's 18. Okay, we'll say 18, give or take.
He's a teenager.
He's a teenager. So, anyways, he's just basically, like dealing with the consequences of being Spider-Man. Everybody around him is dealing with the consequences. Everybody who knew
Getting rejected.
getting
His
rejected to
friends getting rejected. That's
yeah,
how it started.
like they're still like trying to get into college, which is so funny to me. They're like, oh, we're still trying to get into college and stuff, or we'll be accepted to MIT and stuff. It's like, bro, your faces are everywhere in the newspaper. Come on, let's be a little realistic here. There, you guys are all wanted criminals, or you guys are just public enemy number one. By the way, hold on. Let's not forget it. Let's be a little bit more calm and collected and organized about this. While that whole debacle was happening, he's public enemy number one to the public. He's not really in legal trouble, but everyone hates him and or everyone loves him. So there's like a cult following on both sides, mostly hating him. But then we see the cameo. The first freak out that I had in the movie theaters, Matt Murdock showing up. Daredevil himself,
Yeah.
representing Peter Parker. I didn't think I was going to see this mother fight forever again after Netflix canceled his show because, of course, Disney took over everything. So they're like, no more Daredevil for you guys. Don't do any more shows, okay? He's ours now. He's property of the rat. So I'd seeing him again and kind of giving a little bit of a glimpse as to his powers. They threw the brick through the window. It was about to hit Peter in the face, and he caught it.
And your brother was like, how did he do that?
And my brother immediately, we were sitting with my family. He was like, wait, what's his powers? It's like, I'll tell you about it later. I'll tell you about it later, dude. I'm just going to let you know he's blind. It's like, whoa. So all these Zoomers, they're like, who's that? They probably have never seen Daredevil, even heard of Daredevil, but that is Matt Murdock. That's so cool. Oh my God, I was freaking out, dude. That's Matt Murdock representing Peter Parker. Anyways, he's like, I'm a good lawyer. That's how I did that. So anyways, Matt Murdock showed up. That was freaking phenomenal. And then, the whole thing happened with them getting rejected to college due to the whole controversy. So they hatched this brilliant idea of, hey, maybe Doctor Strange can make up some wizarding magic and can reverse this whole thing. So he went to Doctor Strange, and Wong and Doctor Strange are like freaking like in a marriage because they're always bickering at each other. They're always like, oh, yeah, yeah, and then, oh, yeah, yeah. And it's all really comic. It's comic relief. It's funny, whatever, yada, yada. But then, Doctor Strange hatches this brilliant plan. It's like, oh, wait, I don't have the time stone anymore, but
I have magic.
I got magic, and I can make everybody forget who you are. Forget this whole thing ever happened. It's like, oh, really? It's like, oh, yeah, I can do that. And so they went, and they start doing the magic without saying anything to each other.
That was the one gripe.
So let me explain what happens, and then we'll explain the gripe.
Okay.
So, anyways, they start preparing the spell without any preparations or talking to each other. He's like, all of a sudden he goes downstairs, starts conjuring up magic. Okay, all right, nobody remember who you are. And Peter Parker's like, wait, nobody? And he's already doing all sorts of magic nonsense. It's like, yep, nobody. And he's like, wait, I need to, my girlfriend, And it's like, okay, wait, girlfriend is an exception. He keeps doing magic stuff. It's like, oh, wait. But my friend, you gotta know. He's been there all the time. I need him to know too. It's like, okay, they're your friend too. He starts to get annoyed more and more and more. It's like, oh, what about Anime? Oh, what about Happy? Oh, he starts naming off all these other people, basically breaking Doctor Strange's concentration. And then amalgamation happens, and it turns into like this big old debacle where the multiverses are like coming together, and because he's messing up the spell, which I don't know why a forgetting spell would ever mesh up with a multiverse spell. Interesting. But I was digging it. I'm like, okay, cool. This is how everything happens. But then all of a sudden, he kept it contained. That whole amalgamation that conjured up with the multiverses joining and breaking and reality of fabric tears and stuff. He contained it into like this little ball thing. He's like, bro, listen, don't ever interrupt me with my incantations. All right, we already changed it like 5-6 times because you can't make up your mind as to who you want to remember and stuff. And essentially, why the hell he's just started being a dick to Peter Parker.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, the kid's a teenager. He
Kid,
doesn't understand the implications of his act. Like, he doesn't understand.
and he was saying that he's like, I forget you're a kid.
Yeah.
I completely forgot. We've been through a lot. We saved the world, brought back half the universe. You and I were included in that. Kicked ass together. But I forget that you're a child. And I'm like, throughout that whole entire thing, I'm like, they really didn't like sit down and be like, okay, this is what's gonna happen if I do this. Before he started conjuring up he just started doing it. Just like, hey, I'll just start doing magic here. We're just gonna do it, no problem. Without even talking to Peter, be like, okay, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna start doing this, and this is what's gonna be the results. Now, is this what you want? I thought Doctor Strange would be better than that.
This setup was weird.
It was like out
of character. It's kind of odd.
Yeah, it was because Doctor Strange is very particular.
Yeah, you think that.
Especially with the plan. Remember the big old plan in Endgame's like only one. You can't mess it up. No exceptions, no nothing. He's very particular, right? There's no exceptions, no nothing. And then all of a sudden he's just like, you know what? Whatever, screw it. Then he starts putting together all the magic stuff to make the spell happen without even like carefully planning out all the possibilities that could happen.
Exactly.
If this went wrong, if the incantations went, it was just kind of out of character. Yeah. That was one of the few things that I didn't like about Doctor Strange's inclusion. Everything else was freaking dope.
Yeah.
But I didn't like how they started, because obviously this is how everything happens in the movie. Without this scene, nothing would happen in the movie. All the cool stuff. And trust me, there's a shit ton of cool stuff in this freaking movie. But none of it would have happened if it wasn't for this particular scene, which we found very odd. That this is the reason why everything happened. I feel like they could have done it way better. Anyways, that's just me, though. That's just me. There might be some other things that, like I said, I want to see it a second time, but that's just my first impressions, and that's how I saw it. Anyways, so after that, weird things start to happen, okay? Some cool things start to happen for Peter Parker. It's like, okay, he went to the MIT director or something, and
on our way to the airport.
On our way to the airport, in the freeway, and that's when it started. But, things were going good for Peter Parker because he started to do things that he didn't know that he could do, like talk to the MIT director about the rejection instead of, trying to erase the memories of everybody of Peter Parker. Anyways, in the universe. Exactly. So anyways, he went to go talk to the MIT director, and that's when the first hiccup happens. Dr. Octopus.
And I could hear the erections rising.
Dude, that entire theater erupted in applause. Just, oh my God, he's back. Just, I don't know what it is about the Sam Raimi trilogy, but people love the Sam Raimi trilogy. They love Tobey Maguire. Even though how some of the movies are not super great, the only one that I really, really like is the second one with Dr. Octopus. I think he's like the perfect Doc Ock. 100%. I can't remember the actor's name, but he's perfect. Anyways, he showed up. It's basically taking right away, right after the second movie of the Sam Raimi trilogy, which is essentially his machine with the power of the sun, and he's trying to make this energy and stuff like that, and it takes place like right after that, right? In this situation, he didn't drown, he didn't die. Because I'm like, wait a minute, they died.
Yeah, they all died.
They all died, but apparently this is all a situation where they get teleported or they get, brought into this universe, the MCU universe, where it's just right before they died. Just right before they get brought here, and that's essentially how it went, or it goes, right? So it's right after the Sam Raimi trilogy, and they start to fight together, and then while they're fighting, they're trying to save this MIT director too, but that's not necessary. That's not important. It was mostly just like a punchline at the end where the MIT director gets mad at Doctor Octopus,
Yeah, that
which
it's the comic
it's
relief.
comic relief, and they have to put something to handicap Peter Parker because if he was at full power, of course, nothing. He probably would have wiped the floor with Doctor Octopus because plot armor. But essentially, how he takes down Doctor Octopus, because Doctor Octopus is actually really powerful.
Yeah.
He got all sorts of different hands, and the tentacles or the arms or whatever the hell. So one of the arms takes off Peter Parker's nano machine, nanotech suit. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Takes the nanotech suit, and then when that happens, the arm absorbs the nanotech technology. And at that point, because it's Peter Parker's nanotech suit that got absorbed, he could control the arm with the nanotechnology that the arm's absorbed. So that's how they stopped Dr. Octopus. Pretty comical, pretty funny. The fact that he could just control Dr. Octopus's arms now because of the nanotechnology. I thought it was pretty clever. I liked it. I didn't know that the arms could absorb nanotechnology or just absorb things in general.
That was just a plot.
I think so too. Whatever. That's fine.
It was kind of cool.
I thought it was awesome. So that was pretty dope. That's how they stopped Dr. Octopus. And then that's when Doctor Strange started explaining. Oh, no. When they stopped Dr. Octopus, you see the grenade rolling in and the laughter of William Dafoe.
And that was another time the audience was
and
erupting.
Exact. And there was smoke everywhere. And then all of a sudden, Green Goblin showed up in his glory. Just like how he looked in the Sam Raimi trilogy with the same laugh. I'm like, and the whole audience, wow, just going bananas that he's back. And then when he gets into fighting stance, Spider-Man, to take out Green Goblin, he gets teleported into Doctor Strange's basement, essentially. And then that's when Doctor Strange starts explaining, hey, listen, these are all from like another universe. I already fought the Lizard Man. And then all of a sudden, Lizard Man from the Andrew Garfield movies. Amazing Spider-Man, yeah. Showed up and he was already trapped. Doctor Strange already took care of him. He's like, I went into the sewers and I found that thing. And it was Dr. Connors there. And they have Dr. Octopus and Kurt Connors and trapped already. And apparently there's more of them, which we already established that Green Goblin was one of them. So is there more? So Doctor Strange tells them, hey, we got to send them back. They're all bad people. They come in. Basically, the explanation they gave was anybody that had feelings or that knew Peter Parker from the multiverse came into this.
A couple of them leaked in.
Exactly. A couple of them leaked in because he tried to contain it, and it would have been much worse if he didn't contain it. But essentially, some of them slipped through his containment while he was containing it. So before he contained it, some of them slipped through. Anyways, and one of those being Dr. Octopus, Green Goblin, basically the ones from the old Spider-Man movies. And then he starts to tell them that, hey, there's more out there. If there is more, find them and let's contain them here in the basement. This is where, Doctor Strange keeps like things and they can't escape because it's like a magical barrier. He goes to seek out other things that possibly leaked in as well. And then we get introduced to Jamie Foxx, Electro, back from the Andrew Garfield series, and alongside him was Sandman from the Sam Raimi trilogy, from Spider-Man 3. So it is all the same actors. Maybe not Kirk Connors. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Dr. Connors was the same actor. I'm not sure. So anyways, yeah, Sandman, Electro. So they ended up capturing Sandman and Electro as well. So at the end of the day, it was Green Goblin, Electro, Sandman, Dr. Octopus,
and
Lizard Man, and I think that's it. Or is there more?
The tree.
No, not the. No, is there? I feel like there's 6. No. Okay, hold on. Green Goblin.
Well, they didn't really capture Green Goblin.
Yeah, they did.
Sort of.
Yeah, they captured. Well, like Green Goblin was a weird situation because he turned the whole double personality, Green Goblin and Norman Osborn. Yeah. So it was like Norman Osborn kind of escaped from Green Goblin's grasp in his mind, a little bit, and he went to go
find Spider-Man.
went to go find Spider-Man, see if he could help him and stuff, and that's pretty. And he let himself get captured essentially. So it was Green Goblin, Electro, Sandman, Doctor Octopus, and Lizard Man.
That was it.
That's it, right? No, nothing more than that. No, I don't think so. Yeah, that's it. That's it. There's only 5 of them. 5 of the biggest freaking villains in Spider-Man, especially Green Goblin. William Dafoe being there was just a freaking treat and a half. I was so good. And they got them all together, and then once they're all together, Doctor Strange showed up. It's like, all right, time to send them back. And they before that though, they started talking about how they all died to Spider-Man. They all died. If they get sent back, they're all gonna die essentially. That's just everyone dies. Electro dies. The only one that
if they get sent back. Yeah.
Lizard Man, I think, dies. I don't remember how Lizard Man died, but I'm pretty sure they all died because Spider-Man stops them all, and they're bad people. But then Aunt May had a little talk with Peter before this whole event happened, and it's like, oh, well, these people are sick or these people need help and stuff. And Peter Parker's like, hey, we just send them back to their own dimension, Aunt May. This is not our problem. And it's like, well, these people need help. And that really got to Peter. And so Peter defied Doctor Strange before sending them back to their time to die, to their, of course, their own timelines.
Universe.
Yeah, their own respective universe, how it should have been in the movies. Essentially, he says no, and he takes it was a cube where he kept the amalgamation that he was trying to start with the spell, and with that he could make it keep going and kind of fix it so everything goes back to normal. So anyways, he kept it in a cube, and Spider-Man freaking took the cube, he went out, and we get introduced to one of the coolest sections or the coolest fight scenes between superheroes. Doctor Strange versus Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and
that
it
was pretty sick.
it was so cool, dude.
In the mirror dimension.
Oh, and then when they enter the mirror dimension, it was just a sight to behold, dude. But anyways, that happens, and it was beautiful. Doctor Strange was using his portals, he was using his cape, he was using like crazy Inception type powers to be able to freak out and psych out Peter Parker so he can try and get this cube back. And then, oh my god, dude, it was so sick. Anyways, at the end of the day, Peter Parker wins. And he leaves Doctor Strange in the actual mirror dimension. Because I guess the mirror dimension has a lot to do with geometry. Fractals. And Peter Parker's very good at geometry, apparently. Smart. And so he started to do, Pythagorean theorem. Oh, trapezoid. Oh, triangles. Oh, rhomboid. What is it? Rhombus. Whatever the hell that shape is. Like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, with all those shapes, he was able to tangle up Doctor Strange and leave the mirror dimension and take Doctor Strange's key, the thing to make the portals. And his ring, or like his ring, whatever, his finger thing that he uses to open up the gates. So, and that's how he beats Doctor Strange. And we don't see Doctor Strange for the entire movie after that, until the end. But I thought that was very interesting, the whole thing, because the whole point was Doctor Strange is going to send these people back. Doesn't matter if their fates are already decided. You can't really change anything with nobody has the ability.
Like kind of on Doctor Strange's side.
Yeah, me too. I was on Doctor Strange's side on that point. I'm like, yeah, just send them back. It's not really your problem. I don't trust them at all. And Peter's like, oh, we could change him. We can help him. What if we can? What if? What if? And that's a show. And if you've seen that show, you know what if. What if? And lots of bad things happen. So he gets the box, and he decides to free up all the villains that they helped capture. And they take him over to Happy's apartment, and they start to try to fix him. Which was kind of funny. Sandman is trying to sit on the couch. He's like, oh, sorry, he spills sand everywhere. A lot of comic relief and stuff. And Peter decides to try and fix everybody and decided to start with Doc Ock, which was very against the whole thing. He's very evil and stuff. and he decided to fix him by, the chip that he had, which was really cool because it's a throwback to the Sam Raimi, the second movie, where the chip that he helps him control the arms, but they're actually controlling him. That whole chip is all messed up. It's fried, and it's not very good. So Peter figures out a way to be able to reverse that whole thing and have the arms obey him instead of him obeying the arms. After that, Doc Ock kind of becomes good.
I didn't trust him.
Nobody trusts it, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's like, okay, we're kind of on board. It's like, can we really change? You can't really change somebody without consequences and stuff. Just this whole mysterious, like, what's going to happen? They're going to betray Peter. Something's going to happen, essentially, and whatever. And then they do this to Doc Ock, and Doc Ock is like, oh, he's like thinking clearly now, post-nut clarity. He's like, oh, whoa. Can't believe I did that. That was bad. Damn, that was bad. I did that. Oh my God. The voice has stopped. So, but you're like, did they though?
Okay.
Did they? And then that's when Norman Osborn switched to Green Goblin and messed everything up.
But one of the coolest scenes in any Spider-Man movie that I've ever seen happened right then.
Which one?
Spider-Man's like his senses.
Oh yeah, his spider tingly.
Like, he got a tingle for no reason.
Yeah, for no reason.
Out of nowhere.
That scene was really cool.
Sensed that Green Goblin was Green Goblin.
Yes, correct. He
And
sensed something was
there,
wrong.
And then he just immediately
Correct.
stopped him.
Yeah, so
that was probably one of the coolest scenes I've ever seen in Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man, right? Because you just like, oh, it's a feeling or whatever, but you actually get to see like his mindset is like,
we're like, what the?
Like how his senses are, that everything just goes kind of like muffled, and it's like something's wrong.
Yeah, something's happening.
Something's happening. I don't know what it is, and he's like trying to deduce what's going on. He's like, and while that's happening, like J. Jonah Jameson is downstairs about to bring the cops and about to bring in the press and whatever.
And Lizard Man's out in the truck.
And Lizard Man is in the truck, not in the apartment. He said he's gonna stay down there or whatever. I'm like, is something going on with Lizard Man or J. Jonah Jameson? And then all of a sudden we see him blast Green Goblin. He's like, huh.
Uh-oh.
And then Norman Osborn turns on that Green Goblin. And bro, there's nobody better than William Dafoe as Green Goblin. He starts to tell all this crazy, weird, villainous shit. Just like the coolest Green Goblin you will ever see, bro. He starts to tell like all sorts of stuff to Peter, how things, aren't as they seem. We've been given this gift, and who are you to take it away from us? Who are you to decide? And then that basically motivates the villains to be like, yeah, who gives you the right? And they freaking mess up the whole apartment. Everything like breaks loose. And Electro takes one of Tony Stark's reactors.
Yeah.
The reactor, and that energy is like what powers like everything. Iron Man's powers basically.
Yeah.
Electro loves that area. He's like, delicious, like a freaking delicious meal. And then they all break out. Dr. Octopus escapes. Electro escapes. Green Goblin stays to beat up Peter Parker, and Lizard Man also tags in. And Green Goblin and Lizard Man start to beat up Peter Parker.
Which that was one of the coolest like hallway fight scenes.
Oh, dude, yeah. When Green Goblin, William Dafoe was beating up on Peter Parker, dude, that was so sick, dude. I'm like, oh my God, dude. He's actually like, because they like put some like weird wrestling moves. Like they freaking grab each other, flip over each other, and like pile drive each other, but they go through like multiple stories.
That was sick.
And like pile drive somebody through multiple floors to the ground. I'm like, holy damn, dude. Oh, and then prior to the whole thing with the villains, they were trying to fix Norman Osborn next, which is what made him switch to Green Goblin, because he didn't want to be fixed. But Norman wanted to be fixed, but Green Goblin said no, no, no. So anyways, they were making a serum or something like that, and Aunt May was there, and she took the serum. Peter Parker told her to run because the villains were being dumb. So she starts running, and Green Goblin and Peter Parker start fighting. They end up in the first story floor, and finally came the big thing. Green Goblin got the upper hand, laid a whole bunch of grenades, got his hoverboard to run over Aunt May.
And then she said the thing.
And then when that happened, when she got ran over and the explosion occurred with his grenades, Peter Parker's trying to help out and shield Aunt May. Aunt May stood up trying to help out Peter Parker or whatever. And then finally, she's like, listen. And then Peter Parker's like doubting himself. He's like, I shouldn't have done it. It's not our problem. It's, they should have been in the other dimension, send them back. And Aunt May's like, no, you help them. You have great power.
As soon as she said that,
And with
no.
great power comes great responsibility. And as soon as she said that, the whole audience goes, "Oh no!" It was so funny. And like, she's dead. She's gonna die now. She is Uncle Ben. Oh no, Aunt May, dude. So after that, she collapses. She's bleeding out. And, it was a sad scene, but Aunt May does die. And the thing is, it was very sad. And the acting was just on point, dude. Tom Holland killed it, right? Killed it. And the thing is like, that makes sense because this Spider-Man has not seen or felt true loss other than Tony Stark.
Yeah.
But, like, has not truly felt the loss of a family member. Right, Tony Stark was the closest thing, and I thought that was gonna be it.
That was gonna be his uncle.
That was gonna be his uncle. Tony Stark was Uncle Ben, but that wasn't good enough. That wasn't in a Spider-Man movie. It has to occur in a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as soon as that happened, I'm like, there it is. There's his stepping stone. There's the thing that he needs to match. He's no longer a boy. He's not Spider-Boy anymore. That is Spider-Man. All right, that is a grown-ass man now. As soon as he lost Aunt May. And when that happened, he runs away, of course, because the cops are still trying to find him. And they're still, because, to them, they look like it looks like Spider-Man caused this whole havoc. And they're blaming Spider-Man. He did, in a way. It is kind of his fault, but to his thing, he was trying to essentially cure these bad guys, trying to give them a second chance or whatever. So that was like the justification for all the havoc that he caused and stuff. So anyways, that happens. He runs away. Then we get to cut to Mary Jane and Ned trying to find him. Huh?
Not Mary Jane.
Michelle Jones.
Yeah.
Right? Michelle.
MJ.
It's not MJ. It's not MJ. It's Michelle Jones.
They call her MJ.
Yeah, exactly. Michelle Jones is not Mary Jane. It's MJ, but it's Michelle Jones. Something like that. Right? What was it again? Michelle Jones, right? I'm pretty sure.
Watson Jones.
Yeah, Michelle Watson Jones or something. It's not Mary Jane, but it's Michelle Watson Jones or something, which I think was pretty clever. This isn't Mary Jane. This is another version.
Michelle Jones Watson.
Michelle Jones Watson. There you go. That's better. So anyways, they're like trying to like, oh my God, this happened. They're heard on the news about who died and where it was. And they're like, where's Peter? Where's Peter? And this whole thing, while this whole thing is happening, remember when Doctor Strange got his little ring taken away from him by Peter? Well, apparently Ned has it. And he's like, I wish I could just talk to Peter. He starts waving his hand around like this. And all of a sudden, a little spark. Psst. It's like, what the hell? And to me, I was like, oh my God, Doctor Strange's about to come out and Daddy's pissed. Right? Like, Daddy's pissed. But no, it was literally Ned trying to create a portal. He's like, I wish I could see Peter Parker. And I'm like, oh, shoot, they're going to teleport to him. So it's like, okay, he starts doing the thing. And then they see Peter. It's like, okay, cool.
But then
they found, and you see Peter. And it's like, oh my God, Peter. They start calling to him and stuff. And there's a portal there. And Ned apparently has magic, that he can do magic now, which leads to like him possibly learning the ancient arts of whatever for Doctor Strange's magic, which is kind of cool. But anyways, they call to Peter Parker. He's like walking around. He starts coming towards it. And I thought it was like Venom. Like Venom from like the Spider-Man 3 or something. But no, it turns out to be a regular Spider-Man. And he takes off his mask. It's freaking Andrew Garfield. Everyone started like, what? going nuts. Andrew Garfield. And then they have, of course, a comedic moment where it's like, oh, who are you? It's like, I'm Peter Parker. Whoa, wait a minute. I know this is not my dimension and stuff. He already knows kind of what's going on and stuff. It's not my dimension. I know that I'm not your Peter Parker and stuff. And so, and they're like, prove you're Peter Parker or whatever. It's like, I don't really have my ID. It's like, well, starts throwing shit at him. It's like, do stuff.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was really funny. He's like, oh, really? Do I really need to do this? It's like the suit isn't enough. It's like, no, just prove to us you're him. And all of a sudden he like attaches himself to the roof. Good enough. It was really funny. I love that scene so much. It for a second there. I'm like, all right, let's move on. We get it. He's Peter Parker. It's funny. With the old grandma was like, oh, since you're up there, why don't you get that cobweb? So he starts crawling on the roof. He's like, all right, proof enough or whatever. It was cute. It was really funny. I loved it. I was just in shock that Andrew Garfield actually showed up and stuff. So they're like, okay, let's try this again. And I'm like, and everybody was like, oh. Everyone's like, all right. And they're like, let's try this again. And then we all know what's going to happen next. And then all of a sudden, a regular ass guy in a non-Spider-Man suit comes out, and it's fucking Tobey Maguire. Boomer Maguire, as I call him. He's old, man. He's aged. He's done this. He looks like he's got a little bit of wisdom on him. He's like, yeah, I'm Peter Parker. He's like, you are? And they're just trying to basically all, like, trying to get, make sense about what's going on. The audience is bugging out. They're flipping their switches right now. Everyone's going crazy. They see Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in the same screen, right? And they're all trying to freaking calm each other down. And then finally, they both sense each other. They're like,
and you can see it.
And you can see it. You're like, oh boy, their spider senses are tingling. Something's going to happen. It's like, no, they actually sensed each other. And they starts blasting each other with stuff and start doing acrobatics and stuff and start clinging onto things. And you're like, oh,
this is happening.
This is actually happening. He's like, oh, what? And then they're like, why didn't you just say you were Spider-Man? And the thing is like, well, I'm not going around telling people I'm Spider-Man. I got to keep my identity a secret. And they're like, oh, well, that makes sense. That's why they're in this predicament in the first place, which is really funny. Anyways, so then, yeah, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield shows up, and they're like, dude, my spidey senses are tingling, and they're telling me that this dimension's Peter Parker. They both know they're in a different dimension. Apparently, they snuck in as well. Because they're actually Peter Parker or something. I don't know how that works. I decided to forgive it. I'm not going to dive too much into it, dwell too much into it. Like how they showed up too alongside the villains. Because the villains make sense. They hate Peter Parker, so they constantly think about him. But Peter Parker himself? I don't know. But anyways, it's very interesting. But either way, I didn't care. I got to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in the MCU, which was freaking ridiculous, okay? So then they like, okay, this dimension Spider-Man just went through something crazy, and we need to talk to him. So they go and they try to find Peter Parker. They're like, is there some place where, he goes to think and stuff? It's like, yep, okay. And they find him, and they all hug him. They're trying to like say sorry, and they're crying over Aunt May's death. And then you see like they're like in a rooftop, and then beside the rooftop there's like another rooftop, and you see both Spider-Mans, dude, and they start jumping down, Spider-Manning down, and I'm like, this is so cool. And you see all three of them together, and they're all talking about their losses. Like Tobey Maguire had Uncle Ben, and he died because some schmuck shot him, and Tobey Maguire's character let him go. Andrew Garfield lost his girlfriend Gwen Stacy, and he wasn't fast enough to save her, and she cracked her head open. She died. So they both have some loss, trying to get this kid to understand. It's like, yeah, you're not the only one. And they all said one thing. Both Uncle Ben's and Aunt May said one thing in particular: with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And then they're like,
oh shit.
Oh shoot. Okay. Sweet. So I'm like, the curse. Whoever says that is destined to die. So yeah. Anyways, that happens, and then they start to devise plans to try and cure everybody because they're still determined on curing everybody and then sending them back to their own dimensions for them to not die, right? Which is really funny to me.
It's interesting.
It was very interesting the way that the thought process and stuff. So it's like completely overrules like those movies, or I guess this is a different alternative answer to the movies. It's like, hey, what if Doctor Octopus actually had control over his arms? Hey, what if Norman Osborn could control his double personality? Hey, what if Electro actually didn't fall into the vat of eels, electric eels, or whatever? So, anyways, they decided to conjure up, and there was a whole bunch of funny not cameo, like fan servicey stuff. Like Tobey Maguire started talking about, like Ned went up to Tobey Maguire's like, "Hey, did you guys have a best friend?" He's like, "Yep, I did." And Tobey Maguire, everyone started dying. "Yep, I did have a best friend. Try to kill me." After I tried to like, wait, no, he died in my arms after he tried to kill me or something. Yeah. That's what it was. That's right.
It was like, okay.
Everyone was like, they're like, "Whoa, I got deep," and we're like, as the audience, we're like, "Yep, that's exactly what happened." And then like Andrew Garfield was really funny. And then they also try to make fun of the fact that Tobey Maguire's character is the only Spider-Man that can actually make webs from his body. So it's not like a mechanism that shoots out webs. He actually makes it.
Yeah.
They're not cartridges. It comes out of his body. And the thing is, a whole lot of people were making fun of that because that's not how Spider-Man did it. He always had like a cartridge. He never had web come out of his. Maybe some versions did, but I'm pretty sure most people would say, yeah, he doesn't really have that kind of power. He only can stick to walls, heightened senses, super strength, etc., etc. Not exactly the web sling and stuff that came out of a cartridge. And they were making fun of that, which was so freaking funny. It's like, oh, you can't make that? No? Just that's it, done. It's like, no, I can't do that. I need a cartridge to do that. And they're like, you make that out of your body? Whoa. And it was like the funniest thing. Here's the thing about this movie. I love this movie so much because it decides to have fun with the Spider-Man community.
Yeah.
Like earlier in the movie, I didn't mention this, but early in the movie, when all the villains were trapped and Norman Osborn was there, and they were all talking to each other as to how they died, and they were like, "Oh, maybe we can save you guys," that whole spiel. Norman Osborn leaned up and he said, "Oh, really? You're trying to cure us? Well, I'm sort of a scientist myself.
Yeah,
I'm some sort of scientist myself, or something like that. Like just like in the memes, nailed it perfectly." And it was beautiful. Everyone cracked up laughing. Everyone, that was gore. I can't believe they actually made an homage to that.
Yeah.
I was surprised as hell. I was dead ass certain that they were also going to do like the Spider-Man meme. It's like you.
Yeah.
They're like both. I thought maybe they would do something like that too, but they didn't, unfortunately. But anyways, it was awesome. It was lovely banter and great stuff going down. The conversation between Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland were just
Well,
it was like a Spider-Man fan's wet dream.
It was pretty funny.
Oh, dude, it's like just people. This movie is the type of movie that people dream about and like start discussing among their friends. Like, what if they made a movie?
They wouldn't.
They put in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and all that stuff, and nah, they wouldn't do that.
That's weird.
That would be too much. It's like, no, this is that movie. They brought in everybody, and they were talking about like Mary Jane and Gwen and best friends. They start talking about all sorts of stuff. And if you've seen the other movies, you know exactly where they're coming from, and you know exactly where they came from, or where they came from, what they were talking about, and all the backstory stuff. So, anyways. After that, they decided to have one big showdown versus everybody. The 3 Spider-Mans versus the 5 villains throughout the multiverses. None of them were from Tom Holland's universe, I'm pretty sure. No. None of them. Nope. But it's okay. I thought maybe Tom Holland would have one villain. It's like, I don't know, maybe Vulture comes back for a second.
Thanos.
or Thanos comes back for a second.
No.
Oh man. So anyways, they have one big showdown and it's super cute because they're like all getting ready and they're all talking about like, oh, what's the craziest enemy you've ever fought? And some guy and Andrew Garfield's like, I fought a Russian in a rhino suit,
Yeah.
and then Tobey Maguire's like, fought this weird alien guy with a black Spider-Man suit. It was super weird. And it's like, well, I actually fought in outer space and I fought an alien. And they're like, what? You were in outer space?
Yeah.
Dude, the whole freaking, oh my God, they were so good. Everything, I was just like, we were all of us, were just like a kid in a candy store. We're just like, I can't believe this is happening. We're still like creaming our pants. So anyways, that happens. And then the villains show up and they just start fighting and stuff like that, and they all fight. Everybody shows up, and they all decide to, or they all cure them. They all get cured. Like Sandman becomes normal, Lizard Man becomes normal again too. Electro gets all of his electricity taken out because Doctor Octopus showed up. And that question we had is like, oh, is he actually
good?
Is he actually good or bad?
At that moment, you were like, is he gonna kill the Spider-Man?
Yeah, is he gonna kill the Spider-Mans? And then we saw, no, he's actually a good guy now. He's come to his senses, and he like plugged in the antidote for Electro, and basically helped out Spider-Man. All the Spider-Mans.
He saved 3 Spider-Mans.
He saved 3 Spider-Mans. It was crazy, dude.
And then one of the coolest scenes too in the movie was all 3 Spider-Mans were swinging, and the moon was in the back.
Oh, dude. Oh, yeah. They were having some trouble with all the villains and stuff, and they never worked in a team except for Tom Holland's character.
That was another funny scene.
Yeah, they're like, we don't know how to fight in a team. We don't know what to do and stuff. I was like, okay, wait, just follow your senses. Let's take them on one at a time, and then we'll get this going. They were getting their asses handed to them, and they're like, all right, good team. Oh, you're Spider-Man 1, 2, 3. And it was super funny because Andrew Garfield's like the third one. He's like, oh yeah, I'm 3. And obviously.
Tom Holland's like, yeah, I fought in a group before. I actually fought for the Avengers.
Oh, yeah. I fought for the Avengers.
And the other Spider-Men are like,
oh, really? The Avengers? What's that? I'm like, oh, yeah. Andrew Garfield's like, are you in a band?
Is it a band?
And you know, like, if you've seen Endgame, if you're an MCU fan, you know how big the Avengers are. And they're like, what is that? You're like, oh yeah, dude, I feel old now. This is like before the Avengers ever showed up. Tobey Maguire, who's that? But anyways, and then they all like start swinging. They're like, all right, cool, good team huddle, go. And then they all start swinging on each other, and they go in the moonlight, and they all pose together. Oh my god, dude! literally creaming my pants, dude. Bunch of nerds just creaming their pants, dude. But yeah, in the end of the day, they end up curing everybody, and the final one to show up, Green Goblin. Green Goblin shows up, and I'm so happy they gave him as much notoriety as they did in this movie, because he really is just like the most mentally and psychologically, but at the same time, like really powerful. He's got the grenades, the superpower, like super strength, and the glider and stuff. He really was the most menacing and probably the most formidable one out of all of them, right next to Dr. Octopus. And Electro too. Electro was really formidable, but Green Goblin knows how to get into somebody's head, and he's the main reason why Aunt May died. So he's already in Tom Holland's head. So he showed up last. He basically figured out a way to take the cube, because the whole plan was to cure them and then use the cube with the amalgamation to send them all back, right? But send them back cured. So they had a cure for everybody, essentially. And so what happened is Green Goblin took the cube temporarily, but then Doctor Strange showed up. He's like, Daddy's here. All right, then no more messing around. Doctor Strange is here. And he grabs the freaking cube back from Green Goblin. But he didn't realize that Green Goblin planted a grenade. And it blew up the cube, which made the whole amalgamation just freaking... So essentially, the fabric of the multiverse is ripping. All the Spider-Man villains, everybody who hates Spider-Man from all sorts of dimensions are about to come and cross over. Yeah. And Doctor Strange is trying to maintain it. He's trying to keep it together, but he can't hold it on and stuff like that. Meanwhile, while he's doing that, of course, Tom Holland and Green Goblin are squaring off, and Tom Holland's having some pretty passionate fists flying, and there was a really cool fight scene, one-on-one, Green
So,
Goblin and Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
one of the other scenes that was very impactful was when, because MJ left the portal that they had opened
Mm-hmm.
with the cube, and
Oh, you're talking about the Andrew Garfield one? Oh
fell.
my god, that scene was so. Oh, I almost cried.
I know, I felt like
I almost cried.
crying.
So this was the scene where MJ was in the scene of the whole the event was happening, things were blowing up, and MJ fell, right? And then Tom Holland went to go get her, but Green Goblin was like ha 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 and just snatched him up, right? Which led them to square up 1v1.
Like, oh,
But we're like, oh shit,
No.
no, not again. And then Andrew Garfield, that mother fifer dude, he saw this before and he wasn't gonna let it happen again. He actually went after her and actually caught her and kept her safe. And
and he started
Andrew
crying.
Garfield started bawling his eyes out. We're like, oh my god. He actually saved her, but he couldn't save his own girlfriend. And we're just like, I feel so bad for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, because he actually got to save MJ. Anyways, so that was a really impactful scene. Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, yeah.
No, I agree. That was a scene that I forgot about, and I forgot like that almost like made me like, oh, yeah. It's like, oh man, and MJ's like, are you okay? He's like, yeah. Yeah, it was kind of funny there, because MJ's reaction. But as the audience, he's feeling ways, right? He's like, oh, goddamn. Anyways, Green Goblin and Spider-Man squared up. And Tom Holland's Spider-Man was just beating the shit out of Green Goblin. Just like, he was about to kill him. He took his glider. He was about to freaking whale his own glider with the knives on him. But then Tobey Maguire stepped up, knowing that this is not a path he should take, and stops him. And after that, and he gets stabbed in the back by Green Goblin. And then finally, they injected the serum into him, and he became normal Norman Osborn, and not Green Goblin anymore. And so they saved him. But, Tobey Maguire was fine. He's like, yep, I've been stabbed before. It's fine. It's fine. I'm okay, but it hurts like hell. So after that, all the villains were all good to go. They're all normal. They're not villains anymore. They're just regular people now. And except for Dr. Octopus, which he's back to normal. And it was really cool to see Dr. Octopus interact with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man again. And, amazing. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man interact with Jamie Foxx's Max, his character and stuff. I was like, oh, man, this is crazy, dude.
Did him justice.
Yeah. They did in this movie. They did Electro justice. I feel like, because he was really poorly done in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. So, anyways, they definitely did him justice. And at the end of the day, Doctor Strange, everybody was safe and everything was good. But Doctor Strange is still trying to maintain the fabric of reality in check. He's like, I can't hold it. I don't know what to do. So essentially, the whole problem was a bunch of people were coming into this dimension. Anybody that knew Peter Parker had strong feelings from all sorts of dimensions were coming in, and it was going to break the fabric of time. So Peter Parker was like, what if everybody just forgot who I was? That would stop them, right? Like, yeah, that would. But are you ready to take that on? Not even I will remember. Yeah, even Doctor Strange himself would forget Peter Parker. And he also had a little moment there. He's like, kid, like, even though you want to do this, you're going to be forgotten completely. No one's going to remember you.
That was the second gripe I had.
Uh-huh.
That was the original spell
Uh-huh.
that he was going to do. In the end of the movie, Doctor Strange actually thought about the spell. Whereas at the beginning of the movie, he didn't think about this.
Yeah, in the beginning, I don't know if it would be the same one. I would always thought that maybe Doctor Strange would still remember him.
Yeah.
But just everybody around him. But literally nobody, even himself, like, just to make sure that nobody comes in from another dimension into this land. Nobody. Not even, there's got no exceptions at all this time. Because the first time, you could have some exceptions probably. But this time, no exceptions. Because even if there was an exception, that would mess up this whole spell. They didn't want to take that risk. So yeah, you're right. That was a little bit
So
weird.
it's like, okay, so now you're thinking about
Now you're thinking about it. All right.
All right,
All right, Doctor Strange. Whatever. So, anyways, they had a little moment. They're like, all right, we're going to forget you, kid, and stuff. Even me. Even I'll forget you and stuff. So, anyways, they did it. They said their goodbyes. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland. They all had a little moment. It was like as Tom Holland's character was like fanboying over Andrew Garfield and Tobey
Yeah.
Maguire there. So he's like, I love you guys. And just like
Aw.
group hug the three Spider-Mans and stuff. And I'm like, damn, Tom Holland looks. I think his character broke for a second. He's like actually fanboying over the original
I
Spider-Mans.
think that kind of broke the fourth
Yeah,
wall.
right? It's like,
he's
like,
oh, shit,
that's
I'm
base.
the presence of Tobey Maguire.
Yes,
and Andrew Garfield.
the original Spider-Mans. And it was so cool to see. And then they said goodbyes to MJ and to Ned because they were gonna forget him. It's like, oh, I'm gonna make you remember me. I'll be back and stuff, and I'll never forget you. And I'm gonna do this all over again if I have to, you know. And then they forgot him,
Yeah,
and then that's it.
yeah, and then Andrew Garfield walks into the apartment, or not Andrew Garfield.
Oh, Tom Holland.
Spider-Man. Yeah, he walks into the apartment. Peter Parker.
Uh-huh.
The apartment that he rented, and I was just waiting because the landlord said rent is due on the 1st or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and I was waiting for Peter Parker to say, I'll pay my rent when you fix the damn door."
Yo, the Sam Raimi's like trilogy memes. I'll pay you my rent when you fix the damn door.
I was like ready for him to say something like that.
I'll pay the rent when you fix the damn door. Oh my god, that was. I didn't even think about that.
Really?
I forgot about that.
That was in my head.
So, anyways, that happened. They forget him and stuff. He's still doing Spider-Man things. He got a new suit, and he's just traveling around New York and stuff like that. And he tried to make some. It's basically starting from scratch with MJ and with Ned and stuff like that, which is sad. But that's the life he's living. He's a man now. Like he has great power. He's gonna take great responsibility and stuff, right? But then, and then it ends. That's it. It's over. And then came the after credits, which was very cool.
That was sick.
That was really cool. It was essentially Venom. Tom Hardy showed up, and it was Venom. Tom Hardy Venom, and he was there because he also crossed over to this universe and stuff. And he wanted, and the reason why is because he wanted to see Spider-Man or Peter Parker, and I guess there was something with the newest Venom movie that also alluded to him trying to visit Peter Parker and stuff. And that's kind of what ended him up here in this universe. So he was just chilling around, getting drunk, and he's basically getting told about the things that happened in the MCU, which is like, you mean to tell me that this guy, this big green guy, is like the Hulk, yes. It's like, he's very angry, he's very powerful, and this big purple alien snapped his fingers and half the universe disappeared. Like, yes. It's like, that's a bunch of baloney or whatever. It's like, sir, I lost my family for 5 years. He's like, that's a long time. That's a long time. And then finally he disappeared because that's when all the dimensions went back to normal. However, he left behind a little piece of himself, a little tiny symbiote. And that's how Tom Holland is going to enter the next movie with Venom as the villain.
It's gonna be sick.
It's just gonna be cool. So that basically puts like a dud into like Tom Hardy and Tom Holland coming together because he's in another universe.
Yeah.
He's in another
So
universe.
It's not gonna be that Venom.
So it's not gonna be that Venom. It's gonna be another Venom. Maybe. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but essentially that's what happened with Tom Hardy's Venom and the cameo thing. And then the post credit scene, they showed off a little teaser for the new Doctor Strange movie, which looked awesome. So that's basically Spider-Man No Way Home. And I just cannot believe they made this movie a reality. I thought that Into the Spider-Verse was crazy.
Yeah.
I think this topped it.
Yeah.
This topped it.
For the amount of crazy.
With the amount of like crazy, like not only memes, but also just like acknowledgement to the fan base.
Because Into the Spider-Verse didn't do fan service.
No, no, no.
It was
They're
like its own.
they're oh yeah, they're it's its own thing, and I love it. Miles Morales is great. Oh, they also made another nod to Miles Morales. Like
Oh,
Jamie
yeah.
Foxx was like telling Spider-Man's like, "Oh, I looked up to you. You're pretty. You grew up in Queens and everything. I just thought you were gonna be black." It's like if only there was a black Spider-Man out there. We're all like, "Huh." Only if there was a black Spider-Man out there. And yeah, so there was just a whole bunch of nods and homages and bunch of stuff. And I don't know if the reason why is because this is like the final movie we're gonna get for Spider-Man in the MCU because of the whole shebang with Disney, Marvel, and Sony.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe that's why. You know, they went all out before he goes to Sony permanently.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen with Spider-Man now. We know about Into the Spider-Verse 2, or Among the Spider-Verse, whatever the hell it's called. But I loved it. So good.
That was good.
As a Spider-Man movie, I will say that you need to watch the other movies
Yeah.
to understand this movie, and it makes it a million times better. 100%. If you rewatch all the movies, like the previous, like the Andrew Garfield ones and the Tobey Maguire ones, you'll enjoy this movie way more.
There's a lot of like homages, I guess. Is that
Yeah.
the word?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of callbacks
A lot of callbacks from the original.
from the originals. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And for somebody that's going into this movie blind, it's just like Endgame, right? Endgame as a standalone movie, it's like okay. It's whatever. It's boring. You don't know what's going on. Other than while its counterpart in Infinity War is a great standalone movie, right? But Endgame is purely for fan base. Lots of homages, lots of callbacks, lots of like previous movies coming to a close. This is rewarding all the people that watch 20 plus movies in the MCU. This is like that. The Spider-Man version of Endgame, right? This is just like rewarding all Spider-Man fans that have been through with Spider-Man from the beginning. They know all about the movies, the Sam Raimi ones, the Andrew Garfield ones, even Miles Morales,
Yeah.
and all the memes that have come through. Like if you know all that, oh my god, you'll love this movie. But as a standalone, I'm not sure. Like if you've never seen Tobey Maguire's or Andrew Garfield's, like that impact is not gonna be there. Especially if you've seen them before, but like I feel like the impact won't be there if you watch this back to back.
Yeah.
But like the impact was way greater.
We were like the target demographic.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, we were the
Our
target.
ages are the target
Exactly,
demographic.
exactly. That we are the target demographic, and it was really cool. But anyways, yeah, that was Spider-Man.
I'm gonna see it with my little nephew next
You
week.
should, yeah.
I wanna
Oh
see
my god.
how he likes it.
Oh, we'll see how he likes it.
Because he hasn't watched the other Spider-Man.
Oh man, I don't know. Well, you have to tell me how it is.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's 3:00 in the morning.
Oh wow, it's already 3.
I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed.